In our first category this week, we have film, and I listened to the Shazam Fury of the Gods soundtrack. And this soundtrack actually pleasantly surprised me. The main theme actually feels like a callback to old school superheroes. It has like heroic brass, full orchestra, and it actually had some parts that reminded me of John Williams' Superman score and just kind of the style of John Williams in general. So I did really appreciate that. I liked that kind of callback. The score does feel a little bit generic occasionally, especially during the action kind of motifs and tracks, but it was overall a really fun score that I enjoyed listening to. There are tracks that have kind of that whimsical, heroic feel that seems fitting for Shazam, and there are also some that have kind of a mythical element, which I think it makes sense because of the villains in this film, the Daughters of Atlas. And there are even some tender moments in the track, some emotional motifs, which is expected in a soundtrack, but there were some nice ones in there. Overall, it has a heroic, uplifting, and action kind of mood. And my top 3 tracks are Shazam Fury of the Gods, the main title theme, A True God After All, and All or None. Give this a listen if you're into fun superhero scores. It's a little bit of a breath of fresh air for the superhero soundtracks I've heard recently. It was just an all-around fun listen.
Score for The Bad Batch Season 2, Volume 1, which is episodes 1 through 8. It didn't particularly catch my attention, not nearly as much as other Star Wars scores by Kevin Kiner, such as The Clone Wars. It didn't feel like it had enough thematic heart and consistency for my taste. It has some cool tracks, don't get me wrong, but as a whole I didn't connect with it. It features instruments and sounds with a similar sonic identity as other Star Wars scores, and some of the tracks even have a vibe not unlike adventure movies like Indiana Jones. The tracks Mysterious Treasure and Align the Symbols, for instance. In fact, near the end of the track Align the Symbols, there's a motif played on instruments that have an original Star Wars trilogy feel to them, which I thought was really cool. Overall, I love little moments of the score, but as a whole I was not wowed. My top 3 tracks were Where I Fit, Align the Symbols, and Fee and Dooku's Treasure.
Hey y'all, just out for an afternoon ruck, and I wanted to give my review of the soundtrack to the video game Pentiment that I reviewed this week. It's a tough one to review because I know the game has high acclaim. The soundtrack was well written, well played, but it absolutely has a certain style to it, and it's a very distinctive medieval style. It's very layered, it's well done. It's unique, and they play about a dozen instruments, psaltery, VLs, recorders, and you can hear all of that in the soundtrack. Absolutely worth checking out if that's your thing at all. I would definitely listen to it in a pub or while I'm writing something medieval. I actually have a screenplay coming up that I could actually see myself revisiting this score quite a bit for. So really cool discovery. Top 3 tracks I'd say were St. John's Eve, title sequence, and Ein Traum, which features Lingua Ignota. Anyway, give it a listen. Cheers.